So if you watched the first video, we ran through the Western Conference playoffs. Now the good stuff. We're gonna get to the East. So Tim and I are both from New York. We have a little bit more eyesight onto what's happening on the Eastern Conference because the games are a little bit earlier. Without any further ado, dive into some of these playoff matchups. So first matchup here is the Cavs versus the number one seeded Cleveland Cavaliers versus the number eight seed right now with the play in could either be the Atlanta Hawks, Miami Heat, or the Chicago Bulls. So just very high level. The Cavs have been dominant this whole season, 64 wins. Donovan Mitchell has kind of been phenomenal. A lot of their players have just risen to the occasion, and they kind of have surprised me a little bit because they're a good team, but I think they kind of played a little better than people had thought they were going to be this year. They never really had too many moments where they had a lull or kind of like a losing streak for like an extended amount of time. So the Heat and Bulls have been battling the whole season. It's kind of like a nice little story for their fan bases. They get a fun free game. The Hawks looked horrible last night against Orlando. Trae Young got kicked out of the game. What are your thoughts on this series? Is this just like clearly Cavs all the way?
Snooze fest. Who cares? It's really about staying healthy,
Yeah.
right? Mitchell is injury prone. Garland is injury prone. So if I'm the Cavs, you want to keep those guys healthy. You want to, get your playoff reps in and clean this up in 4 games if you can, so that you
Yeah.
can go into that round two fresh. And to me, that's all. My prediction on this one is Cavs in 4. The rest of all the play-in teams suck this year. I you
It's
know
true.
I do think that the Eastern Conference playoffs starts in round 2,
Yeah.
but this one is a total snooze fest.
Yeah, I love that take that you have. I think this is a series for the Cavs that it's like come out of it injuries, like injuries scathed or whatever that term is.
Uh,
Kind of let Donovan go off one game, get his confidence a little bit. Jared Allen play a little defense, get some blocks, but this shouldn't be a series that takes them more than 4 or 5 games. And if it does, it kind of opens the door for that conversation
it's a
where
good point.
if the Bucks win, say, then it's like the Cavs can be beat, but like for their critics to stay quiet and not kind of start opening that door of like this is who they are, just nip it in
It's
the
a
bud
gr-
early.
it's a
Four,
great
five, keep it moving.
it's a great point. I didn't bring it up. Like, you don't want those doubters to be able to emerge. You don't want them to have their own moments of self doubt. Like, barrel through them, get on to the next round. My call is Cavs in 4.
So yeah, so I agree with you. I think it'll be 4, but just to be a little different than your pick, I'll say Cavs in 5. Maybe if I'd say if the Bulls maybe are playing them, I think they can maybe steal one in Chicago. They're in
Spo could steal a game on his
Spo
own.
maybe, but I think the Heat are in disarray, man. I think like
Yeah.
they're kind of just like I think Riley's kind of getting old, and players are kind of getting tired of him. Hawks, I don't even think they're going to be there. Cavs in 5, get out of that series alive. But if you were watching kind of how we were going last series in the West, we're either going all in, we're going to watch, or we're going to change the channel. I think on the count of 3, we can both agree 1, 2, 3, we're changing the channel on this and not going to watch kind of any of these
Put
games.
put put it on the radio. Put it
Exactly.
on the radio.
Like this is one of those games that like even the TV broadcasters are like you can catch it on the Hallmark channel or something like that.
Yep.
Like we don't even have
Yep.
a big enough network right now to put it on. So
Yep.
unless you're in Cleveland or any of those other cities and you care about those games, no one else is going to give a crap until they get further along. Um, so let's go. This is one I really want to get into. So the next matchup, let's go to Milwaukee Bucks versus the Indiana Pacers. This is like kind of this is going to be a really good series. I personally don't think Giannis Antetokounmpo gets enough credit as being kind of one of the best players, if not the best player in the NBA. Like the dude won a championship for Milwaukee. He's a Finals MVP. He's an NBA MVP, and his name never comes up in conversations of just being like that guy, which to me he's that guy. And I don't know if it's because he doesn't have a bag, or like it's not like his 3-point shot's not dropping. He occasionally will get 10-second out at the free throw line. He's still Giannis, and to me, I think he can win a series against Indiana himself. What are your early thoughts on this series?
That's the storyline that I'm watching. Like, we have totally overlooked him because they have not met expectations as a team.
Yeah,
I think more of that falls on the supporting cast that they assembled around him. I think there's just been some bad GM moves there. I don't think Dame was a good idea. Like, I love
really.
Dame, but I don't think that was ever a good idea.
Hmm.
Um, Giannis this year, as a total afterthought, put up 30, 12, and 6 on 60% shooting from the field.
Crazy.
Total afterthought. And dragged this team where Dame has been in and out. They're like, Bobby Portis has been suspended for most of the year. Their team is old. They had to ship off Chris Middleton, drag them to a 5 seed. To me, this is like, can Giannis somehow, some way, just be so far beyond the best player in the series that they win this? Because to me, Indiana is they're flat out a better team. Like, they didn't have a great start to the year, but they have been rolling. I think they were like 15-4 to end the year.
Oh wow.
Things are clicking for them. I hate them, but like, they're a good team,
Yeah.
and I think that Giannis goes down swinging, um, because Indy's just better. Some things that I'm like curious to watch
Hmm.
is some of like their, even Halliburton. Halliburton to me isn't a star yet. Like, I know he's a regular season star, but like all of those supporting guys that were so pivotal on their run last year, like Nemhard, McConnell, Turner, like, are can those guys do it again? Because last year they beat a Giannis-less Bucks team,
Hmm.
right? And then they beat uh, a a morgue of a Knicks team, like,
Yeah, should have lost that damn
just
series.
body bags,
Yeah.
right? Like, the Knicks were one shot away from being up 3-0,
Yeah.
minus Julius Randle,
Yep.
minus Anunoby. Then
Brunson
Hartenstein
gets
gets
hurt.
hurt and Brunson gets hurt,
Yeah.
and we end up losing. So they got through easy, and then they got
Yep.
spanked in the conference finals. So
Yep.
like, are they really about it? Right?
Yeah.
Is Nemhard really that guy?
No.
It and so we'll see. Like, I'm open to that being, like, they've all had really good years. I'm open to that being a possibility, but we'll see. That said, this series I have Pacers in 6.
Interesting. So one guy you didn't mention on the Pacers is Pascal Siakam, who, I don't think he's that guy. Like he did win an NBA championship, but I don't think that he's got enough star power. I don't think he's got enough.
He's just a predictable player. You know exactly what he can do, and you know
Yeah.
exactly what he can't do. And he'll never surprise you by doing something you didn't think he was able to do,
Yeah.
but he'll also never surprise you by not being able to do the things that you know he can do, like
Yep. Yep. No,
fastball
that's
down the
perfect.
middle.
Yeah. No, no, that's a perfect kind of analysis of him. I like the Bucks. Again, I is Dame healthy?
No, he's not going to be there for the start of the series. So that tells me, I mean, he has a blood clot in his leg. So like,
Oh,
to,
yeah,
to
that's
me,
serious.
he's not playing the series. Um,
Interesting.
and they like opened up the door for him possibly coming back, but then they announced he's going to miss the start of the series. I don't see him coming back. And
Yeah.
so like, you're counting on like Kyle Kuzma
Yeah.
to create scoring opportunities in the playoffs. Not happening.
Yeah, that's I know you'd mentioned some questionable moves and stuff that kind of just doesn't feel like it fits for the Bucks. I've never really been a fan of Kuzma's game. I think he did okay on the Wizards because like someone's got to score the points. Look, I think he played with Kobe, and like I don't know. I'm just not sold on the Kuzma move. I think they would have been better off trying Middleton for one more year, and seeing just how that went. Granted, that said, I still think Giannis is very, very good. And again, I think he's going to be the best player on the floor. I don't trust Halliburton. I like I like the Bucks in 7 in this series. I think they squeak past them, but then I think they get the brakes beat off them by the Cavs in the next round, and the Cavs gets to the conference finals. Yeah, I'm not sold on the Pacers. Maybe I'm just a Pacer kind of hater a little bit, but I'm a huge Giannis fan. I think he's phenomenal. I don't think he gets enough credit, and I think he and sleeper. I think Doc Rivers can win you a first round series. I don't like him as a coach, and I don't think he can win
in
another
the
game.
later rounds, but you think he can
I
he'll
think a
get them
first
a
round
series
series,
win?
he's a good enough coach
I see
to win
that.
you a first round series.
I see that.
So I like the Bucks in 7 there. This one, I'm personally changing the channel. I don't think anybody outside of Indiana or Milwaukee is going to watch this series. I think this is going to be a complete like 65 to 63 win, boring game. So you're changing the channel on this one.
Oh, oh yes, yes. Not watch. I will not watch. I hate both. I hate Indiana. Um, Not compelling.
No,
We're not going to see either of them in the conference finals.
no.
So
Yeah.
yawn, snooze. Next series.
Okay, so we're gonna save Knicks Pistons for last. We're gonna jump to the number 2 seed, Boston Celtics versus the number 7 seed, Orlando Magic. So this one to me is interesting, and I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna say this early. I think the Orlando Magic upset the Boston Celtics and win this series. And I know it sounds
Clickbait.
crazy.
Corey's just trying to get his followers up.
But I think Orlando's good. Like I think they are a really good team. Granted, the Celtics are phenomenal, but like I think the Magic can steal this series and shake the playoffs up.
Total snooze fest. Celtics in 5. I don't even I don't even want to spend time talking about the Celtics because they just make me angry, and I don't even want to spend mental bandwidth on the Celtics, but they are going to totally clean up on Orlando. I think Orlando stinks. Here's the bet I want to make with you, just a gentleman's bet.
Uh
Do the Orlando Magic crack 100 points in a game once this series? I
huh.
say no.
But what is it about the Magic? I feel like they have a solid
They
team.
can't
I mean,
score. They
like,
can't score. They can't score.
is that what it is?
They
Well, like,
can't
what?
score the basketball because they have no shooting. They have nobody on their team that can shoot. They play good defense, but they're also banged up. Like Jalen Suggs has been injured.
Yeah,
They've
Suggs is.
Franz and Paulo have been injured, and they haven't really been world beaters since they came back.
Yeah,
Um, I think it's Celtics in 5. The one thing that I want to watch is, does Jalen Brown think that it's his movie and everybody else is a co-star in it because it's a boring series? Does he get a little carried away and start to feel himself a little bit too much? Which to me would be a best case scenario, because I want that team chemistry to get a little upset, with my eyes on a second round matchup. But I think that I'm not watching it, number one. This is turning the TV off, to quote my boy Kendrick Lamar.
yeah.
And we're going Celtics in 5 on this.
So you don't see any world where the Magic steal game 1 or steal 2, like steal like the second game in Boston and like,
They'll steal a game. They'll steal a
but that's
game.
it.
That's it.
All right.
Celtics in 5. Celtics are great. They're a really, really good team. They're all healthy right now. Um, this is a quick
It could be.
wrap
It
it
could
up,
be
shut
like.
it down.
I hope for the sake of for the Knicks, if they get past the Pistons, that the Magic can squeak out a
That's
series
why
victory.
we're calling Orlando.
But I don't know. I maybe I'm a creature of the moment, and I watched the playing game yesterday, and the Magic looked good. Obviously, the Hawks came back and fought hard at the end. But they like Cole Anthony was like making threes, and like they looked good, and I was like, I could see
Shout out
them.
to New York's very own Cole Anthony, but
I'm
he
saying.
stinks. They stink.
And yeah, I don't want the Celtics to win again, man. I feel like I still don't trust
I
Porzingis
think
as
it will.
like their third guy. Um, so I mean, maybe Jalen and Tatum are good enough to kind of just be all right. But I'm just a Celtic hater. So that series we're not watching. You've got the Celtics in five.
Celtics in 5, correct.
I've got the Magic in seven. I'll go seven. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt to make it to seven. But that one, I'm gonna clip this out and I'm gonna go crazy with. It. I'm gonna send it to the Orlando Magic feed because I don't think anybody outside of even in Orlando, they're probably picking the Celtics too. I'm probably the only guy picking the Magic for this series. Even guys on the team are probably already planning trips out there. So, all right. So let's get into this last one. This is kind of my bread and butter, your bread and butter, the team we know best, the series that I think all of like kind of the NBA is going to be watching. I think it's a very interesting one. It's the number 3 New York Knicks versus the number 6 Detroit Pistons. So the Knicks going into the end of the season have clearly had some issues. I think they've had chemistry issues. I think they've had winning issues. I think they've clearly had some injuries. Jalen Brunson is coming back from an injury. That being said, this is the healthiest that they've been, I feel like, going into a playoff series. So the healthiest they've been, but also there's a lot of questions around let's a 51 win team. And people are kind of questioning is Tibbs doing a good job? Any other like kind of season or coach would be like, dude, we won 51 games, we're healthy, we're going into the playoffs. Why is there skepticism around the Knicks going into this series? Is it do we give credit to the Pistons? Are we scared of them? Like what is it?
I think something has felt off to the fans. I'm not saying something has felt off with the team, but
Yeah.
something has felt off in the relationship between the team and its fans this year. And I
Yes.
think that part of it is that we have been beat down for so long and we fell in love with a team last year. Um, and I'm not saying like, new fans or fair weather fans. I'm talking about like the diehards. Like we all collectively fell in love with this team last year.
Yeah.
Everything their never say die mentality, their the way they just grit wins out, pull them out of there, like a rabbit out of a hat, and we traded we like sacrificed that identity at the altar of talent. So we raised our ceilings with the moves that we made, but we did have to chop off our arm in order to walk through that door. And so to your point about like vibes being off for a 51 win team, this is our first year as Knicks fans where we went into a season, second year, in our adult lives with like expectations, like serious expectations, like
We have
we should be
expectations every year, but yeah, serious is the key
but
word
we
there.
should reasonably saying like we should be making the Eastern Conference Finals this year. If we don't, it's a disappointment.
Yeah.
And so maybe this is what it all feels like. This is what it feels like to be anxious about having high expectations for your team. However, a very matter of fact thing is that the end of the season was very disappointing. We seemed a little out of sorts, a little discombobulated. Um, Part of that was injury. Part of that is just lineups that haven't just seemed to click. A lack of a willingness to experiment with lineups. Guys that we hoped would be consistent contributors this year, not being consistent contributors.
Yeah.
And it's led us to ask this question like, are we soft? Is this team soft? Maybe. Because, like, I think that we just call people soft when they lose. Like, if we're winning, nobody's calling us soft,
Yeah.
right? Yes, Bridges has had some stretches where he disappears. He's had some fourth quarter like fumbles, but
Hmm.
he's also had two game saving blocks this year. Literally in the final second of a game, made
Yep.
a game saving block twice. Was he soft then? No, right? Because they won.
Yep.
Cat, is he soft at the 5? Maybe. At the 4? probably a different conversation. Had 14 rebounds. So, like, because of this late game swoon, we've sort of experienced a media narrative overload where suddenly the Knicks might even be underdogs in media land. You
Yeah.
know, you
Well,
know,
no, according to ESPN, I think it was like they pulled 10 people and all of them said the Knicks. So, like, I hate when that happens because then it's like
but
the other
all the
team's social
chatter
media
is
goes crazy.
around the Pistons hype. They
Yes.
had Cade Cunningham on ESPN's Sunday Countdown, and he
Yep.
had his little moment where he's
Yep.
like, "I want to be the best player in the NBA." And
There was
then you
also a
have
clip. I don't like the announcer that said, yeah, he's the best player on the court or something.
yes. Yep. Is Cade the best player in the series? That is total recency bias. I want to give a little reality check, Corin. The
Hmm.
Pistons franchise in their entire history has had two instances in which a player scored 40 points in a playoff game.
Hmm.
Jalen Brunson had four last postseason alone. Four
Yeah.
in one postseason. I'm pretty clear on who the best player on the court will be this
Of
playoff
this.
series. I do not expect anything to change. This
Yep.
is a classic market overreaction. It's like in financial markets. When all the noise is like up and up and up, we're going down. When all the noise is doom and gloom, a bounce back is coming.
Yep.
Vegas still likes the Knicks. We're favored for a reason. The
Yep.
Knicks have the better team, period. If they lose, it will be a huge disappointment.
Yep.
I don't
I
think
agree.
they will, but if they do, it would be a huge disappointment because they have a much better team.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with all of that. I think, obviously, um, New York hate nationally is a good story. I think it sells. I think it's a good headline. If everything was positive and like kind of like everything's great, it's not as exciting. So it kind of ignites a fire in the New York fan base when they see kind of national news stories of like bad coverage on the Knicks and like why isn't Jalen Brunson getting more attention? So they've done their job of riling up our fan base, and it's interesting because you see this. We speak about the Clippers and how they have that wall, and the Pistons owner or something came out and he was trying to limit ticket sales or trying to do something where New York fans couldn't come to the game, and kind of you see what happens when our fan base shows up in
Oh,
Philly during the playoff
we
series,
would have
and
gone
it's like
crazy in Detroit. That's a
in
cheap
Detroit.
flight.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like when your team has to start doing that stuff, you're scared, you're worried.
Yep,
The thing that
yep.
worries me is I don't really want and need PJ Tucker to be our guy to kind of like be like we're not tough enough and like have sound bites where like he's on the court like talking to Jalen Brunson about like a play this and that. It's like I didn't like that
Yeah,
signing. I think he's too big of a personality to kind of like bring into the team this late. I don't think he's that guy. Like yes, he won a championship, but you're not that guy to like
yeah.
be
You
the
need your
mentor.
leader to be somebody that's on the floor in the
Yes.
fight with you. And
Yeah.
like he's been there for a cup of coffee and we're already and like I'm not like mad about the I think it was a good signing because he's the end of the bench guy, he's not gonna play. But
Yeah.
it is to your point, it's worrying that we need this from him right
Yeah.
now. Like
Yeah.
what's going on, guys?
Yeah.
Ostensibly we like I think all of the we're talking you're talking about Oklahoma City before, right? And how they have this like this great team chemistry. They're all young, they're all excited, they're all in support of each other. I think all the guys on the Knicks know they all want to win. They're all about the right things. Every
Yeah.
single one of them, all about the right things. But I think because they're all in the primes of their career, there's a there's a
Disconnect a little
anxiousness
bit.
about
Yeah.
no, there's just an
Oh,
anxiousness
okay.
because they all want it so bad and
Yeah.
they know now's the time. Like now, next year, now's the time. And I
Yep.
think that leads to like an uneasiness that they're all kind of experiencing.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of, yeah, I love that. And I like what you said originally too. And we spoke about this kind of off air too. I think there's a disconnect between the fans and the team, and the energy just feels off. And I think that started from that initial trade. Like we were so invested and we're so kind of like so bought in on that last year's team that like when players started getting injured in that Indiana series, it was like nothing I've seen before. Like when we lost, Jalen's like getting out of his car when he's leaving this like the arena, like slapping
Yeah,
hands with people with a hand brace on, and it's like there was such a there was such a connection between the fan base and the players then that when they kind of like traded Dante and like there was that spat with him and Rick on the court,
Brunson. Yeah,
like it kind of just threw the vibes off a little bit and like it just made it so it's like you guys don't really care about us as a fan base because we really rock with that team. We were curious to see how they were going to do next year. Like, granted, to your point, we got Cat. He's phenomenal, cool story, whatever, jersey. But like, let it rock one more year. Like
yeah,
it's kind of like on a mini scale what Dallas did with Luca. Like, you traded a guy that we really were rocking with last year, and we're a little upset at you, Leon. Like, yes, you've
yeah,
done good for us, but
yeah, yeah.
you
The
kind
move
of
had to be made, but it still hurts. It
yes.
still hurts.
So
Um,
yeah.
I think all of that goes away if and when we win this series.
Yeah.
There are some strategy matchup things that I want to talk about quickly.
Yeah.
So the Knicks were 27th in the NBA in 3-pointers attempted. That is malpractice. That is a crime in 2025 to
Yeah.
play that way, especially considering we play 5 out. We literally play 5 perimeter players. I know Josh Hart can't shoot, whatever, but still, he's a perimeter player. We play 5 out. How are we not generating and taking more 3-point attempts? So I'd like to see how we're getting 3-point looks for Towns, number one, because he
Yep.
shot a career low in attempts from three, despite shooting 42% from three this year. So,
Yeah.
like, they better spam the pick and roll every single play with Brunson and Towns, and you have him pop because Jalen Duren or whoever they put on him won't be able to stay with him on the perimeter. And then, two, what does 3-point shot making look like from the wing? We need consistent 3-point shot making from 2 out of the 4 following players: Bridges, Anunoby, Hart, and McBride. I have an asterisk in my notes next to Hart's name because we know he's a wild card. But that if he's not hitting, that means Anunoby and Bridges both need to be hitting their shots. If only one of them is shooting their average from 3, we need McBride to step up in a big way because we need to make 3-point shots in order to play our style, in order to get our rhythm going, etc.
Yeah. No,
And
I agree with
so
that.
to me, that's like the key is like, how are
Yeah.
we able to generate 3-point looks in this series? Because I'm not worried. I'm not really worried about the Pistons. Like, I'm not worried about Cade for the most part. I know he's been great. He'll have some big games. I'm not worried about him winning a series against us.
Neither am I. Yeah. Like Cade, I have written down here. He kind of like he doesn't have that villain like Trey Young or like Reggie Miller. Like he's
Yeah,
like
I like
he,
Cade. I like
he's a good
Cade.
player, but he doesn't like have that aura that like he can come into the Garden and kind of like piss everybody off. Like I'm
Yeah,
I'm not worried about him. One guy that surprised me and like he's been really great the whole season, and I kind of am like, when did this guy get good? Is Beasley, like Malik Beasley, like this dude all of a sudden like has a dance move. He's like their best player. Like what? Like is he like taking performance enhancing or something? Like when did he get so good?
I like the allegations. I think we should write to the league office and let
Because
him
I
know
looked up
ahead of
his stats and I
Saturday's
was
game.
like, I know him, but I know him because he's not been great, and I just know the name.
Yeah,
And I looked at like he was with the Lakers. He was like he had stops in so many different places.
Timberwolves. He had
Yeah,
to,
Timberwolves.
like, for most of the season. He had an ankle bracelet on for a court case and everything.
Did he
But
actually?
yeah, not
Wow.
during games. I think he's able to
Oh,
take it off during
that's
games.
wild.
But yeah, he killed us in the guard. I was at a game
Yeah,
earlier
that's what I'm
this
saying. Like
year,
he went off.
and he killed us.
Yeah,
And that's somebody to watch. We, over the course of the regular season, have had these mental lapses where we're just not locked in the way that we expected a team with expectations to be locked in over
yeah,
the course of the season. I think that changes in the playoffs. We're going to be able to scheme against them. All of our guys are going to be locked in. We have the bodies, right? Between Bridges, Anunoby, and Hart, and Hart and McBride, we have the bodies to play against him.
yeah.
Um, he's definitely somebody to watch out for. Like, I think if this series goes left, it's going to be him hitting 5, 6 threes a game plus Cade,
Yeah.
you know, going for 30 and 10. And I think like if this series goes left, that's what we're going to be seeing from them.
I'm going to tell you one guy that I am extremely worried about. And if you tell me that he's not playing by injury, then disregard everything I'm saying. But Tobias Harris is a guy that he scares me. I think he is from Long Island. He's going to play up to like the Garden standards. And I think he's going to be a guy that like kind of is a little secret weapon for the Pistons in this series. And I'm not saying he can win this series for the Pistons, but I think he's going to be a guy that is like a very, very, very big X factor for them that we're gonna have to game plan for. And I hope Tibbs does because you would know better than I do. But I feel like Tibbs has not been a great in series adjustments coach. And if somebody starts to go off, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's not the type of guy that can make a quick change.
I am
Very
in no way at all worried about Tobias Harris, but that
okay.
does bring up a question that I have is like, what is the playoff rotation with Tibbs in this series? Because it's not going to be 9. Um, it will maybe be 8 names, but only 7 of them um, he'll will play, and only
Yeah.
6 he'll trust. Right, so it's like 8 in the rotation. You play 7, but you trust 6. That's like an old
Yeah.
playoff maxim, and Tibbs is like personifies that. So we have the starting 5, right? Brunson, Bridges, Hart, and Obi Towns. We could pencil all those guys in.
Yeah.
I think the 2 that I'm confident that we will be seeing in the rotation in this first round off the bench are McBride and Mitch, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, there's 3 guys who might be in that 8-man rotation. Could be Shamit, could be Payne, could be Achua. Personally, I hope it's Shamit. He's been playing
Same.
really well.
Yep.
He fights on defense. He's got
Yep.
more size than Payne, and he can fit into the team concept a little bit more than Shamit. I mean, Payne. I'm worried about campaign shooting us out of a playoff game.
Same. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I agree. And I'm
and
extremely worried about Precious. And I think Tibbs has come out and said that he's going to give minutes to Precious. And
I
Precious
saw
has
that.
he's looked
I, I
like
don't
me
buy
or
it.
you out there.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, dude, you're lost. You look lost. You don't look like you belong on an NBA floor.
It looks like he's forgotten how to play basketball. Like he like
Yeah, I hope not. I hope that that's gamesmanship, right? A little, pre-series gamesmanship, like throwing them a wrench. Um, we'll see. I hope that maybe that suggests that we'll see a double big lineup a lot with Towns and Robinson. I know the fans have been clamoring for it. I'm part of that group. We haven't seen enough of it this year. Robinson, I think, is finally, knock on wood, healthy.
yeah,
Um,
we'll see.
and so maybe he anticipates using a double big lineup and needs another big body off the bench to spell them. Maybe that's what that means. But if it were me, you have your starting 5, and then you have McBride, Robinson, and then Shamit for some surgical spot minutes.
I agree with that. Yeah, I am a big fan right now of Landry Shamet. I think he could be someone that I think he's kind of. I mean, against the Nets, he kind of went off. I think he had a really good game. He made like 6 threes or something like that.
I think he's shooting like 44% or something over the
Yeah,
last like month of the season. He's come into his own. He's become the player that we all hoped he would be. I don't know
yeah,
if this is who he is, but I think in this first round series, you ride the hot streak and you give him
yeah,
minutes.
yeah. And to your point, I campaign has done a really good job for us the whole season. He's been really clutch with his three
Yeah.
point shooting. But to your point, I hope he doesn't have like a big head and bring that into the playoffs and
He could
shoot us
very
out
well
of it.
shoot you out of a game.
100%. So let's get into kind of just a prediction for this one.
Yep.
I mean, I think we're both go Knicks, but I think the Knicks win this in 6. I think Detroit gets a couple. But I think the Knicks prevail and they win in six. I think Jalen Brunson finds a way to kind of imprint his kind of just game onto the series, and I think he's gonna obviously be the piece for us this first round against Detroit.
I have Knicks in five. I think maybe we're up 3-1 and we fall asleep in game five and then clean it up in game six.
Yeah,
But I don't. Knicks in five is the pick. If this goes left, we're gonna have an emergency pod after the series, and we're gonna talk real business.
it's gonna.
Um,
Yeah, and I don't want to put it out there. It will get very ugly if the Knicks lose this first round. There'll be questions about Tibbs. There'll be questions about the roster. There'll be conversations about potentially like Jay Wright and bringing back Dante, and who knows what's gonna happen. Let's hope we don't get to that
let's
point.
save. Yeah, let's nip that in the bud right now.
I
Uh,
do, I do want to try. I don't know how hard it will be to get tickets, but I do want to try to get to a game in Detroit. And this is a conversation for another day. But have you ever had Detroit style pizza?
yes, I love Detroit style pizza.
Very
Um,
underrated. It is
it,
like it
it's
doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah, it's its own category of pizza. I actually have a place right in town by me that serves a Detroit style
Oh
pie,
wow!
and they do a very good job of it. Offline, I'll send you a local rec.
Please.
Um, Great Detroit style pizza. Love their pizza. But for me, we're going New York style. Uh,
I mean, it's New York
this
style
series,
all day, every day.
Knicks in five.
Knicks in five. I got Knicks in six. I don't want the fan base similar to the Cavs conversation. I don't want the fan base to turn on the team that quick.
Totally agree on all the basketball stuff. There is something that I do know that we are going to get out of this playoff series.
What's
And
that?
this is some playoff villains, because it always happens when you match up against a team over the course of several games,
Yep.
villains emerge. We see it every year. I
Yep.
have my list of my power ranking of Pistons villains for this series.
Okay.
Would you like me to unleash it?
Yeah, go for it. And yeah, please.
Talking. I have some possible villains for this series
Yeah,
coming up.
let's hear it. I want
Num-
to go through your list.
a clear number one
Uh-huh.
Pistons villain for this series is Isaiah Stewart. He
Yes.
plays dirty and he's not that good, which is a nightmare combo. He's the kind of guy who will commit a flagrant foul and he'll still finish like minus 12 in 15 minutes of play. Total
Yep.
recipe for a villain.
Yep.
I don't care that his favorite player growing up was Patrick Ewing and that he models game, that he's a Knicks fan, all that. Isaiah Stewart, you are a villain in this series. You are villain number one.
Any guy who's ready to charge full steam at LeBron James and like kind of just recklessly like keep going at him, yeah, is a villain in my eyes because that's a bold one to go after. But I mean, I would not want to be in a fight with that guy. He seems
Nah.
very scary, and he seems like he knows how to fight.
But he stinks, and so he's going to be clear villain number one.
Yes.
All right, clear villain number two. Any follower of the NBA, this is not going to be a surprise to many people. Dennis Schroeder. One,
Yeah.
I say this as a non-violent person. He has the most punchable face in the world. Uh, and he already kicked things off this series with that whole standing over Jalen Brunson move. Like, he is ready to be the villain. He loves that role, and he's going to step right into it. Every
Yep.
team he joins becomes more hateable. He is Pistons villain number two.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that one. He like the only time I was okay with him was when he was on Team Germany and he was just beasting, and then like the coach
Yep.
kind of just like reamed him out randomly, and I kind of was like, "Yo, take it easy,
Because
on
the
dude." He's
coach
like
probably
literally,
hates him too.
yeah, no, his coach definitely hated him, but like he was like carrying the team, and the coach like singled him out and went ham. Um, Yes, I mean clearly like an NBA journeyman. He puts out tweets. He kind of like screwed himself years ago when he put out a famous tweet of like he's gonna get a huge bag, and then like he ended up
Got
like
no
getting
bag.
traded, and then he got no bag, and like post pictures in front of cars. He's very unlikable in that sense, where he kind of brings a lot on himself. I kind of had forgotten that he's even on the Pistons. He's been
He
traded so
stinks.
many
He's like
times this
shooting
season.
like 39% from the field.
Yeah. Like so like I'm not worried about him kind of like playing wise, but to your point, he could be that guy that like does something that like, weirdly tweaks Brunson's ankle or like kind of
Yep.
like gets into him
Yep.
a little too close on defense. Like you hope that stuff doesn't happen, but you never know.
When Dennis Schroeder's around, it very well may.
Yes.
All right. My third Pistons villain of this series is a familiar Knicks playoff villain, and that is J.D. Bickerstaff, the coach of the Detroit Pistons, former coach of the Cleveland Cavs. Because maybe even before game one, he's going to be at the podium whining about the officiating,
Yeah.
talking about the big market, small market thing, and trying to work the refs. And that's just because we're going to punk his team again and we're going to send him packing. I don't know where he goes on vacation this summer, but the Knicks are very good at sending him off. So
Yeah.
he's gonna be a quick playoff villain for me with all his post game temper tantrums.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this kind of new um trend that's maybe happening of like coaches kind of weirdly like
Trying
uh,
to work the media and
work the
stuff like
media.
that.
Like I was a fan of the OG, like the David Fizdale, like get on the mic and a very aggressively like genuinely be like,
Yeah, wild
you're,
out. But
you're not gonna
the whole
punk me.
slide stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like like you're not gonna like vet us or something. Whatever he said when they played like the Spurs or something like that. Like that was genuine. I feel like a lot of coach and you see Steve Kerr starting to do this with the Houston series, like talking about physicality and
yeah.
the
Oh,
refs
they
letting the
grab
players
Steph off the ball. Watch out for that. Blah, blah,
exactly
blah.
like don't start those conversations because it takes away from the game. Like obviously I've talked out of both sides of my mouth when there's big market, small market, like in Knicks Cavs. I personally think the NBA would want the Knicks to win a series like that because like no one's watching in Cleveland. But
I've
like
been
Detroit,
watching the Knicks for 30 years. They
yeah,
don't get calls.
yeah, no, yeah, no. It's a good point, but it's like keep it to basketball. Obviously, like
Yeah. Yep. Let's
uh
play the
Dan
and
Hurley like got a lot of heat when he was like criticizing the referees after the game. Like we all watch the game, we all see bad calls, we all know what like could have went the other way. But at the end of the day, nothing can get changed. So don't start
yep.
putting out there like,
Yep.
oh, they don't like us because we play in Detroit and whatever.
Yeah. And if you ask Tibbs, what does he say? You play the game that's in front of you. We can't
Exactly.
control calls. We did a lot of things that lost the game, not the refs. So
One of the
keep
things I
that
hate the
Tibbs
most
energy.
is the 2 minute report. Like it's like just save it. Like
Yeah.
either do what I had mentioned before, like have the referees stand like sit at a podium and answer
Yep.
questions on certain calls. I think that is something that should happen. But to put out a 2 minute report where no one speaks to it and like you
Yeah.
just like kind of
Yeah.
get people more
We screwed
furious.
up. We altered the outcome of the game. Sorry. Are we going to do anything about it? No.
Yeah,
No,
like
thank you. I
and
don't want
also
that.
save like sending like commentators to bring in like a referee expert or analyst because like those guys never go against any of the calls that like
Yeah.
the referees make.
Yeah.
So like save me with all that shit. Like just keep it to
Yeah.
basketball.
Yep. All right. Number four, I have five just for everybody. I'm not going through the whole
You
roster.
don't have a list
But
of 30?
number four is the worst kind of villain. The guy that gets hot off the bench and hits 5 threes in a game, and that is Malik Beasley. Not anything personal against him, but you just know he's going to get loose one game, and
Yeah.
it's going to be very, very painful. Like I said, he's cooked us this year already, and you can book it. 4 threes in the second quarter at some point in this series, and it's just going to be painful, and we're just naturally going to hate him.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. And again, he's one of those guys that he's become very well, maybe just because he did it against New York in the Garden, so he's kind of he already did it.
He,
But you see other players, Anthony Edwards standing over him doing his little like shimmy move that Beasley usually does. Like he's becoming this kind of like
a showman. He's a
antagonist.
little bit of a showman. Yeah.
He's a showman, but like it's kind of picking up, and other guy like the fact that other guys are playing into it now, gives it kind of that credibility.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you. I think he's a guy that the Knicks clearly have to watch out for, and he's going to get a green light from his coach to kind of go off.
Yeah.
So he's either going to do it or he's not going to do it. Let's hope he doesn't
Yeah.
do it.
All right. My last and fifth Pistons villain is Cade Cunningham. Honestly, he's a likable guy, a likable player, ethical
Hmm.
hoops. I respect his game. He's had an incredible season. But you step on the ESPN Sunday countdown and you ask for that smoke, you're going to get it.
Yep.
I hope he's ready for the Garden Energy on Saturday night. Um, I hope they give it to him. And I think that we're going to send him back home to wherever the hell he's from. And he's going to be tucking his tail between his legs at the end of the series. Knicks in 5.
I like that. I'm still upset that like my guy Tobias isn't on there. He's got the like connection with like he brings out like all of Long Island. He's killed us as a Sixer, and I think he is gonna be an X factor. That I personally don't like the guy. Nothing against him, but I think that I'm worried of from him. But Cade, yes, is another one. I like that list. I mean, like to me, everybody on the Pistons roster is unlikable. I hope they all kind of shit the bed and don't do well. But it's just weird seeing the Pistons in the playoffs. They haven't been there in so long. I think it's just like
It feels strange. So we gotta rid the world of this discomfort of having them in the playoffs, and we just gotta pack them up, send them off.
let's hope. I mean, we've seen a lot. I know the owner like they had a rough stretch and like players were kind of they had a weird season, man. Like, not to go too far into it, but I remember seeing a clip of them like walking off the court, and I think there were two fans in like this VIP section, and like maybe got in Beasley's face, and was just like, "You guys are horrible." And then like
Turned
Beasley got
into
in
a
his face,
thing, and yeah,
yeah. And then the owner came out like a couple weeks ago and like put a statement, like. So I don't know, man. I hope the Knicks will do well. I've got the Knicks, like I said, in 6. It'll be a really good series. It'll be a really good East playoffs as a whole. Let us know who you're watching, what series you like. I personally don't think the East games are as exciting as the West games. The West is like must-see TV, pretty much all the series except for that OKC. I do not care about that one. But the East is kind of whack. I mean, the teams
I
are
think
kind of
it
dud.
starts in round 2. Like
Starts in round two.
if we get a Knicks Celtics matchup,
Yeah.
that's going to be electric.
And
I
if the
think
Knicks
Cat,
lose, it's kind of like it's a wrap for the playoffs for me personally. I won't be watching any of them.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it should be
I'm,
good. This was yeah, go
I'll
for
be
it.
taking naps from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. and waking up and watching all the West Coast games.
Yes, exactly. So tell us who you're rocking with in the East. Let us know who you're rocking with overall. I don't. I think the Cavs will make the Eastern Conference Finals. Hopefully, it's against the Knicks. We have their number, and then we could dive back into it at a later show. Tim, any last words on the East playoffs?
Not on the East playoffs, but I am going to game 2. In all these years, I've
Jealous.
never been to a Knicks playoff game, so I'm really excited for that. Um,
The
hopefully
Garden is
we
going to
don't,
be electric. I've worked a
and
couple in the past. Yeah.
I don't think we're going to need to, but hopefully we don't need to do an emergency pod in a week and a half.
Let's hope not. If the Knicks do advance to round 2, you will get another Knicks kind of separate playoffs, and then we can revisit the second round as a whole if people are rocking with these. Appreciate you, Tim. Thanks a lot for staying on, spitting some ball, and go Knicks.
For sure. Thanks for having me, Corin.